Welcome back to Politics Nation. It's been 40 days since Trayvon Martin was shot and killed in Sanford, Florida. While pressure mounts for police to arrest shooter George Zimmerman, his defense team is already giving us a look at their defense strategy. And you won't believe it.
We're familiar with the shaken baby syndrome. You shake a baby, the brain shakes around inside the skull, you can die. When someone's pounding your head on the ground and you've already had your nose broken, you can be in reasonable fear for great bodily harm, which is what the Florida statute calls for.
Shaken baby syndrome. Zimmerman's a 28-year-old man. He's no baby. And while shaken baby syndrome is serious, sometimes fatal condition, the police report said Zimmerman was treated for his injuries by paramedics in the back of a police car and was not taken to the hospital, and that he complied with all verbal commands from the police. And here is Zimmerman walking through the police station less than a half an hour after he killed Trayvon. Does this look like someone with shaken baby syndrome? Joining me now from Miami is Kendall Coffey, a former U.S. attorney, now a criminal defense lawyer, and Ken Padowitz, a former homicide prosecutor from Florida. Thanks to both of you for being here tonight.
Thanks, Reverend.
Kendall, let me start with you. Can you believe the claim of shaken baby syndrome as a defense for a 28-year-old man?
To compare a 190-pound man with a gun to a shaken baby is ridiculous. It's already backfiring in the court of public opinion. I got to think they're going to abandon that well before this gets to a court of law, assuming it does. And it's not the first time they've gone too far with these kind of exaggerations. Supposedly Zimmerman was being beaten to a pulp. What do you see in the video? Doesn't look like any pulp, doesn't even look like much of a beating. And where self-defense is raised, credibility is everything. And making these kind of incredible stretches as claims doesn't help George Zimmerman.
Now, Ken, we checked. The National Institutes of Health defines shaken baby syndrome as, quote, injuries usually occur in children younger than 2 years old, which occur because children's brains are softer, their neck muscles and ligaments are weak, and their heads are large and heavy in proportion of their bodies. But, I mean, with throwing these things out there, as Kendall just said, 1 minute he was beat to a pulp, he was an inch from his life, now shaken baby syndrome. The more they throw this out there, don't they even start weakening the confidence of some of those that may be supportive? I mean, how many theories can you throw out there about one incident on what happened to your client?
Exactly. I do not play the role of doctor in my day job, but I can tell you as a former homicide prosecutor and adjunct law professor that taught scientific evidence, there's a reason why the word baby is in the term shaken baby syndrome. There are weaker neck muscles in an infant's head that attach to a head, where the head is larger in proportion to their body than an adult's head to their body. There's a higher water content in the brain of a baby. So if they plan on using this defense and selling this to a jury, well, I'll tell you what, I got some land to sell you in the Everglades, because that's just not going to work with anyone with common sense.
Now, when you go back to his brother, Kendall, and George Zimmerman's brother said in an interview last week that his brother was on the verge of wearing diapers for the rest of his life after his fight with Trayvon, but that doesn't seem to match with the video. It doesn't match when you had a second ambulance headed to the scene to take Zimmerman, and they said it wasn't needed. I mean, it seems to me they're just pulling anything out of the air, throwing it out to the public.
They are, and it looks desperate. And frankly, the whole attempt to defend him in the court of public opinion has been underwhelming. Everything ranging from, remember Joe Oliver, the friend of defending George Zimmerman, turns out didn't really know him that well. That backfired. This shaken baby syndrome. And even just learning in the past couple of days that the attorneys for George Zimmerman have never met him face to face, even while they're insisting that their guy's got to be evidence and they believe him. This is a case where they are not winning. They're badly losing in the court of public opinion. And what does that mean in the real world? It means that if this special prosecutor declines to bring charges, given the public perceptions that are out there, she's going to get a huge negative backlash unless she's in a position to very convincingly explain why, in the face of what we consider to be the known evidence, why she would refuse to bring charges.
Now, Ken, that is stunning to me. When you hear all of these statements, all of these real strong allegations made by these attorneys, and they've never even sat down and talked to Zimmerman. I think one of them said they talked to him over the phone. So, I mean, a case this big with this kind of visibility, and they don't even sit down with the client, and they're all over national television throwing all these kind of scenarios around. I mean, is this a usual way to do something like this?
Well, it's not a way to keep credibility. I mean, credibility is everything. That's what we have as trial lawyers, as defense attorneys, or as prosecutors. And if you're going to come out with some outlandish statements and try the case in the media, basically put trial balloons out there and see whether they take or not, you're going to have a hard time in front of that jury, because, you know, credibility is at the basis for getting across the defense to the jury. And so I think it's a very, very poor way to conduct business as a defense attorney.
Now, Kendall, what was interesting is today the city of Sanford removed the 911 calls, the video of Zimmerman's in the police station, and the partial police report from their website, and put up this letter. The Office of State Attorney Angela Corey has requested the city of Sanford remove all reports, videos, and audios pertaining to the Martin Zimmerman case from the website. Their office has provided legal justification for the action, and they believe further access to the information will have an adverse effect on efforts to come to a resolution to this investigation. Does this sound like to you that the special prosecutor, we know the grand jury is supposed to be convened as of Tuesday. Does this mean that we could see something before Tuesday? Does this mean she's doing it because the grand jury is being impaneled? I mean, what could this mean?
This tells me that she's getting very close to a decision. And frankly, unless there's some significant forensic results that are still out with some labs somewhere that she needs to look at, she's had time to look at the truly relevant evidence here. She's signaled that she's not thinking that she has to have a grand jury decide this. She knows that this is ultimately her responsibility to decide. So my sense of this, and it's pure speculation, Reverend, is this case is getting very close to a prosecutorial decision.
Well, I just remind people, again, we're not saying that we can decide the case. We're not calling on a conviction. But we have said he should be arrested on probable cause. Why? Zimmerman was armed. Trayvon was unarmed. Zimmerman was pursuing Trayvon. According to 911 tapes, Zimmerman was not brought to the hospital for the injuries that he claimed that he had. He was not brought there at all. So I think that it's going to be very interesting, Ken, to see where this comes down in the next, as we see the grand jury in panel and we see where we're going in the next several days to weeks.
I agree. I think Kendall is correct that this is getting close to a decision being made by the special prosecutor. I think she's going through the evidence, and I think we see various pieces of circumstantial evidence that she's methodically working through this case and will be coming to a decision very soon. And I know that the public is eager to see whether or not there is a resolution at this beginning stage as to whether or not there's probable cause that there was a violation of Florida law and that an arrest should be made and Mr. Zimmerman charged.
Kendall Coffey and Ken Padowitz, thank you both for your time tonight, and have a wonderful Easter weekend. Up next,
you too, Reverend. Thank you.
The next 72 hours could be crucial in the Trayvon Martin case. We'll look at the many unanswered questions still surrounding that night. Plus, the president's critics on the right reach a new low, but we won't let them get away with it.